I think we can be our own worst enemies when it comes to personal public relations. Take this example, right? Let's say you are meeting up with a friend and they're a long time friend, but you haven't seen them in a long time. So you catch up, and the initial phase of the catch up is the bullet points of big things that have happened in your life since you last saw them. And I don't know, even if it gets sprung on you, like it's an impromptu meet up with this old friend, you've generally got those like five big bullet points of like what's happening in your life ready to go because it's just obvious. It's like they're the biggest things that have happened to me. So you share them with this person, and that part of the catch up is, I guess, is becoming more and more obsolete if you're both on the grid on social media sharing stuff. Although as I get older, there's a lot that social media doesn't catch anymore. So it is interesting, even for people who are active on social media, to see them in the flesh, see what they think is interesting about themselves. And you return serve and you have shared the five main bullet points. But then what I find is that, let's say you're hanging out with this person for a weekend, and then as you're catching up, you sink a few cans, you maybe smoke a jazzy, and then things loosen up. And then it's only then you start actually getting to the kind of like interesting parts of what's happened. And I guess there's two main reasons why. There's the reason where in which like something is fresh and painful, maybe not even fresh, just like painful, something that you are unwilling to think about. It happened to you, but you're not really, so you haven't kind of like, it hasn't become a part of your life story yet. Um, or you just completely overlook it. As you kind of like, as it gets coaxed out of you and you're explaining, yeah, my uncle lost a leg to an alligator at Disney World, forgot about that. And the other person's like, what the fuck? How are you not leading with that? You talk it through, you're like, yeah, it is interesting. Damn it. And it's maybe just because you're caught up in your own shtick that you just don't see the forest from the trees. And I guess that's why I think we're bad at PR, because you see a lot of bad PR in the world of celebrity, right? When someone comes out with like some prepared statement and it's fake and false, and you're like, yeah, yeah, you've got a new movie coming out, but tell us about a few months ago when you were seen half naked at an airport screaming racial slurs. That's what we want to hear about. But the PR person kind of smooths it over and kind of like directs your attention to kind of like the quote unquote main things that that person is known for, kind of like keeps it on brand. And really, the interesting parts of your life is where your brand deviates from the from the style guide. There's a rogue graphic designer in house, and they're using some crazy fonts. That's when stuff starts to pop off. And I guess I probably I see, like I said before, I see this in terms of my friendships and seeing people I've known over the years and trying to like get to know them again and see what's been happening with their lives, and never fail to fall into this trap of kind of like only getting to the juicy stuff like after a bit of time has passed. And yeah, I'm not necessarily trying to conceal stuff. It's either I'm just like overlooking the good parts, or yeah, I just kind of haven't really processed what happened to me. I'm just like, yeah, I can't deal with that. So therefore I'm not going to talk about it. And so I see it in my personal life, but I also kind of see it in my own writing where you kind of bring a bit of yourself. And I guess I think of everything through the lens of fiction because it's mainly what I do. But you're bringing some part of yourself to a story. Maybe you're inverting it. You're like, you kind of you take what happened to you, but you kind of like flip it around, or you do it in the opposite sense, or you have a different reaction. But it's based on your own reality in a, at least in some sense. I oftentimes will write something and I'll have a clear idea. I'll be like, oh, that's a good thing for me to write about. And then I'll read it and I'll be like, no, it's not. It's just like the basic bitch, obvious interpretation of what um yeah, what most people would get out of that experience. And yeah, I'm coming to realize that like maybe that's the issue, or why I find a lot of art boring, because they're essentially the same stories again and again and again. You're never going to get outside the trap of falling into tropes, or if you're a joker, kind of mischievous, contrarian type of person, I guess that archetype has existed throughout, go back to the Game of Thrones dumb shit. There would have been some jester back then, and then there's like similar type of person now. So I guess there's a similar style of worldview that's always existed, but I just often find like the stories themselves are identical. Like for example, like losing a loved one. It's this big impactful thing that happens to someone, but those stories are always the same, right? I guess that's why they're universal stories. And to be honest, I think they're boring as fuck. It's like, yeah, it's the 7 stages of grief. And I don't think it's necessarily impossible to write about like really big, unquestionably big things that happen to you. But really, if you're going to do it in an honest and interesting way, it's got to be some type of specific thing, or you've got to have some type of like breakthrough about, how you really felt about something. Maybe that's the whole problem, is that we do like a surface level one coat of paint on stuff that happens to us. And really the interesting stuff comes with time, once you're willing to kind of like go back over things and go, yeah, what really happened there? And kind of kick the tires a little bit. Go through the bottom, dig up the bodies in the back garden and kind of analyze the points of trauma on the body and go, oh, that's how this fucker died. I always thought it was a house fire, but no, it looks like it's bitten by a fucking pack of mangy chihuahuas. Chihuahua'd to death, baby. So anyway, does this make any sense? Surely you've got to relate to the whole kind of like telling a story, and then it's only in a few hours time you get to the good stuff. Why is the good stuff buried? Why is it not at the surface? Why do we suck at PR? We should be selling ourselves. All right, thanks for listening. Catch you on the next one. Bye.